I'm going to read today from Kurt Vonnegut. Slaughterhouse-Five was published in 1969. I got my copy at my local library, which is the same place I got my I Read Banned Books button. And just as a parenthesis, when the state comes wanting to find out what you've been reading, you can trust Amazon.com or you can trust your local public library. Just saying. So Slaughterhouse-Five is the story of Billy Pilgrim, an American soldier in World War II. He was captured. He was a POW in Dresden, and he and his fellow prisoners were kept in a slaughterhouse. Okay. And he survived the firebombing by Allied planes of Dresden. When he came home, he had a slight mental breakdown and became unstuck in time. The modern library lists Slaughterhouse-Five as number 18 on the greatest novels in English. Wikipedia says that it's been banned or challenged for profanity, for irreverence, for depiction of sex, and doesn't mention it, but it was a book about the horrors of war in 1969. It was also one of the first books to acknowledge that homosexuals were among those who were targeted in the Holocaust. So here is a little bit of Slaughterhouse-Five, or The Children's Crusade, by Kurt Vonnegut. Early in 1968, a group of optometrists, with Billy among them, chartered an airplane to fly from Ilium to an international convention of optometrists in Montreal. The plane crashed on top of Sugar Bush Mountain in Vermont, and everybody was killed but Billy. So it goes. While Billy was recuperating in a hospital in Vermont, his wife died accidentally of carbon monoxide poisoning. So it goes. When Billy finally got home to Ilium after the airplane crash, he was quiet for a while. He had a terrible scar across the top of his head. He didn't resume practice. He had a housekeeper. His daughter came over almost every day. And then, without any warning, Billy went to New York City and got on an all-night radio program devoted to talk. He told about having come unstuck in time. He said, too, that he'd been kidnapped by a flying saucer in 1967. The saucer was from the planet Tralfamadore, he said. He was taken to Tralfamadore, where he was displayed naked in a zoo, he said. He was mated there with a former Earthling movie star named Montana Wildhack. Some night owls in Ilium heard Billy on the radio, and one of them called Billy's daughter, Barbara. Barbara was upset. She and her husband went down to New York City and brought Billy home. Billy insisted, mildly, that everything he'd said on the radio was true. He said he had been kidnapped by the Tralfamadorians in the night of his daughter's wedding. He hadn't been missed, he said, because the Tralfamadorians had taken him through a time warp, so that he could be in Tralfamadore for years and still be away from Earth for only a microsecond. Another month went by without incident. And then Billy wrote a letter to the Ilium News Leader, which the paper published. It described the creatures from Tralfamadore. The letter said that they were 2 feet high and green and shaped like plumber's friends. Their suction cups were on the ground, and their shafts, which were extremely flexible, usually pointed toward the sky. At the top of each shaft was a little hand with a green eye in its palm. The creatures were friendly, and they could see in 4 dimensions. They pitied Earthlings for being able to see only in 3. They had many wonderful things to teach Earthlings, especially about time. Billy promised to tell what some of these wonderful things were in his next letter. Billy was working on the second letter when the first one was published. The second started out like this. The most important thing I learned on Tralfamadore was that when a person dies, he only appears to die. He's very much alive in the past, So it's very silly for people to cry at his funeral. All the moments, past, present, and future, always have existed, always will exist. The Trafalmadorians can look at all the different moments, just the way we can look at a stretch of the Rocky Mountains, for instance. They can see how permanent all the moments are, and they can look at any moment that interests them. It's just an illusion we have here on Earth, that one moment follows another like beads on a string, and that once a moment's gone, it's gone forever. When a Tralfamadorian sees a corpse, all he thinks is that the dead person is in a bad condition at that particular moment, but that the same person is just fine in plenty of other moments. Now, when I myself hear that somebody is dead, I simply shrug and say what the Trafalmadorians say about dead people, which is, so it goes. So, Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse-Five. Read banned books.